What's going on, everyone? And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Bleed Lows podcast. The new year is here. The 2026 season is on deck. And when will Andrew Friedman make the next big move? All that and more coming up next. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Anthony and I are your co-pilots tonight with producer Roger behind the scenes. Before we get into it all, we want to make sure to tell you about DodgersBeat.com. Stay up to date and in the know with all of the latest and most comprehensive coverage of the LA Dodgers. It is your one stop for articles, interviews, contests, merch, and more. Never miss a beat and check out DodgersBeat.com. Hello, Anthony. It's been a hot minute. How is your new year going so far?
It's going good. Happy that my vacation ends tomorrow, so I go back to work tomorrow as well. Or actually, yeah, it ends tonight. I go back to work tomorrow, but it feels kind of weird. It feels like it's been a very slow off season. I feel like a lot of stuff is finally starting to pick up. But yeah, I'm kind of just ready to get back at it. I hope pitchers and catchers can report as soon as possible because it's getting pretty boring here during the week.
Yeah, it is slow as molasses, and I've never been a patient person. I've struggled with that my whole life, so this is a rough time. But yeah, we started to get some news trickle in today, so we'll definitely want to get into it. But although I know it's a Dodgers podcast, I have been thinking nothing but football for the last couple of days, and your Steelers, and of course my Rams. But I gotta know, how are you still feeling? Are you on cloud nine now that you're going to the playoffs?
Yes, I'm on cloud nine. I think I finally settled down yesterday. It's such a roller coaster of emotions that last quarter there. It was all the emotions you can think of: anger, frustration, disappointment, uh, followed by joy, happiness, and then followed by misery and sorrow, thinking, oh, the season's going to come down to this kick, followed by jubilation because he missed it. So it was just a insane roller coaster. But if there's any other Steeler fans out there that have watched this show, this is typical for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This has been every game that I've seen for the past, like, as long as I can remember, 10 years basically. Every game is basically the same way. The defense does very well, and it comes down to kicking towards the very end. So I don't know. Thankfully, this playoff game is on Monday, so I don't have to stress about it this weekend. I'll stress about it Monday night, but hopefully we pull off a win and hopefully we move on.
Yeah, we were texting that it would be kind of fun if the Steelers and the Rams ended up as the two at the end, and we'll have to rock our jerseys and go up against each other for once. But NFL season means one great thing. It means that as the playoffs round out, we have baseball on deck. So that's kind of the fun thing to think about. And if there is something kind of cool that's baseball and Dodgers related with my playoff game, the Rams game, Joe Davis has been announced as the caller for that game. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. So lots of fun weekend ahead with playoffs, but yeah, we got to get into some baseball. So fun things that are happening, things that I kind of thought were a nice way to end the year. To start off with our GOAT, Kershaw. And I think the Dodgers really sent him out in an incredible way on New Year's Eve several days ago. What did you think of all those tribute videos from the players, the fans, and even the guy who sings Kershaw's song? That is just fantastic stuff. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was kind of expecting just their typical Happy New Year's post. They had one for Christmas. They had both the World Series trophies kind of displayed on a graphic, and then all of a sudden you get just hit with this, like, I forget how long the video was, but it was a pretty lengthy video. I think it was like 13 minutes long, roughly around that time period. And it's like just again, I just talked about experiencing all those emotions watching football. You experience all sorts of emotions just kind of watching this video
Mhm.
because it was so unexpected. I didn't expect that. I kind of just, like I said, expected a generic Happy New Year, see you guys in 2026. Congratulations, World Series champions. And then this felt like this is something that would have been posted like on the day he announced his retirement or his final game, but they ended up winning the World Series. So you get flooded with all the World Series content that you kind of forget that, oh yeah, he's kind of done. He didn't really get a farewell because we immediately jumped into the wild card series with the Reds, and we kind of just had to lock in for that playoff run. So it was kind of like a fitting end to his Dodger career and a fitting end to the year. It felt like it was finally like the cherry on top, basically, seeing all those guys come out and like wish him well, all the good memories they have, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it was completely on my side, at least. It was completely unexpected. I don't know about you. I don't know if you expected them to drop that. I felt like that might have been something they dropped when they introduced him again at the start of the season when he receives his World Series ring. That might have been something where they like posted it, but no, it just caught me completely off guard.
Off guard. Yeah, I know it was a Wednesday afternoon and I was bawling. Like actually was crying. Like joyful tears, of course, because of all the years we've had, but a little bit bittersweet because this is going to be the first time we're not seeing him in the dugout, and he's just given us so many amazing memories as Dodger fans. So he's going to be missed. Yeah, we'll see him for the ring ceremony, Hall of Fame, 2031, and it just thought made me think of the statue, which will probably not be for some time. You know how long they took with Sandy Koufax, but I don't want to say goodbye to Kershaw yet. And so the news that kind of came out today was that NBC, you probably saw this, is looking to kind of make him a part of the media team since they're now going to be doing, I guess it's going to be Sunday Night Baseball. Did you catch that? And they kind of are looking at Kershaw as a potential contributor. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of caught that news earlier today. Actually, I feel like it's a good idea to kind of get these old guys that are quote unquote old guys, but they're not that far removed from the game. The other option they had was Joey Votto. He's not that far out removed from playing himself as well too, and I kind of like it because the NBA's version of this is on Tuesdays, I believe, when they have their NBC games and on Peacock and stuff like that. And they have old guys that you still recognize. They have Dirk Nowitzki, they have Steve Nash, they have Blake Griffin, and they have Udonis Haslem's. Again, guys that are not that far removed from the current game and current products. So guys like Kershaw are perfect. Votto, I know, is a little bit further removed, but he's not that far removed, and it's kind of gives you a good insider perspective on what they see and how they approach the game and stuff like that. Now, I don't think Kershaw's going to say yes because he did say that he kind of wants to get as far away as possible from the game. I feel like he's going to focus on his family first, and it's kind of like just like an olive branch you're extending to him, like, hey, if you're interested, like, give us a call, basically, stuff like that. But I don't think that opportunity is going to be one of the only opportunities he has. I feel like the Dodgers as well have reached out to
Yeah.
him, whether he wants to be someone in the front office, kind of an advisor role, stuff like that, coach, etc. But again, I don't think he's kind of interested to kind of jump back in and just like go full baseball because we say it all the time. Even though these guys are gone from the game, they still want to spend time with their families and stuff like that. And I feel like he just had his daughter, if I'm not mistaken, at towards the end of December. So I feel like he's just going to focus on just being super dad for the time being. And I wouldn't expect him to see him in baseball stuff for a few years down the line. So I really think it'd be a cool opportunity, but I also think he's going to just pursue his family goals right now.
And he probably should. I mean, he's had Ellen back him, support him all those years with young kids. And she really just kind of gave up a lot of time, even though she was at a lot of the games. It's been hard. They've been back and forth between Texas and California and all the traveling. So I think it's definitely time for him to be a dad and enjoy that. But I would love to see him. I mean, I can't get enough Kershaw, and I'm really going to miss him. So wasn't mad at the idea of seeing him in the upcoming seasons. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, from one goat to the next goat, Shohei Ohtani. He is going to be having a really cool day tomorrow. If you're catching this episode and it's before January 7th, I believe MLB Network is going to be showing an all-day Shohei highlights, greatest performances, 2 hour best of Shohei. You name it, it's going to be shown. So definitely catch that if you have the MLB Network. I mean, not just anybody gets this, Anthony, right? I mean, how amazing do you have to be to get your own day on the MLB Network?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought it was kind of a joke, like a troll account. But then I saw other people tweet about it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." And then I instantly was like, "Well, great! Like the one day I'm back from vacation, I don't get to spend it in front of a TV watching Shohei be Shohei." But I think I'll still catch some of it towards the end of the day. But yeah, it's like one of those things that they don't do it for anyone. I don't remember anyone's ever had its own specific day. Maybe like in the past when like a great player has retired, they usually tend to play career highlight moments like career games and stuff like that. But an entire Shohei Day, as they're marketing it, is kind of amazing to it, and it makes sense too. First of the year, seventh day in January, 17, kind of synonymous with him. So I'm excited for Shohei Day. I hope the Dodgers kind of do follow in suit and kind of like just spend the whole day posting like highlights and stuff from the past 2 years, basically.
And it's been a great 2 years. And that makes me think we've seen Shohei break so many records. Do you think there'll be another crazy record we can't even imagine yet that he'll be breaking this year?
Yeah, well, he says that he wants to possibly achieve a Cy Young. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm not going to doubt the guy because, I mean, the 2 years that we've had him for, he's done stuff that I couldn't even imagine when we first signed him that for that contract, especially in the playoffs when he was kind of like a lot of people are like, oh, will this guy be able to play in the playoffs? He's never played in the moment, met the moment, stuff like that. And then he breaks records in the playoffs and he does unicorn stuff, as we like to say it, in the playoffs. And I just don't know what to like. I hate to like put expectations on him because it's kind of like one of those players like, yeah, he's your top guy. You should have like expectations for him. But like, if I put expectations for him, he's gonna far surpass him. So what's the point of like telling him like, oh, he has to average this? Like, he's just gonna break through that ceiling basically. So I kind of just like strap in and enjoy the moment and enjoy the ride basically.
And we've got 8 more years to enjoy that ride. So I will be front row center, just watching it all. I'm so excited that we get to see so much more Shohei, provided that he stays healthy. So knock on wood. But one thing I was kind of noticing he was doing was, as he does in all off seasons, he has a lot of sponsorships, and I guess that's when they filmed those commercials. And if you remember last year, he filmed the Decorte. That's where they got that Sully skincare item, and they made a whole big thing at the stadium all year about it. And so he's just been filming some really great stuff. I don't know if you've seen it, but that just reminded me of some of the cool celebrations we've seen. The Dodgers have incorporated several throughout the years. Do you have a favorite Sully or celebration that the Dodgers do or have done in the last few years, Shohei or not? And like just kind of one that you'd like, yeah, they can leave that one behind in 2026.
To see the one that I was a big fan of wasn't even from like this era of Dodger baseball. This is like the early 2010s, 2014. I think it was 2014 when they had like that bubble machine in the dugout and they had the quote unquote foam parties after a home run. That one's always the one that sticks to me. I also like I'm a big fan of the Freddie dance. Every time they get a double, I kind of do it here. It's kind of like caught fire. I've been to a few little league games, and you can imagine the amount of kids that get to second base and immediately start throwing their hands up like the Dodgers, and then start doing the Freddie dance. And it's actually kind of cool that it's caught on, and it's cool to celebrate stuff in baseball. A lot of people kind of are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be celebrating in baseball, bat flipping and all that." But like, I could care less. It's a kid's game at the end of the game. I prefer to be entertained. Like, yeah, okay, like if we're down 17 runs and they're still doing the double dance, like, all right, no, like we're not doing that. But like during the long season they play through in the playoffs, like I don't mind it. So I'm a big fan of the Freddie dance. I'm interested to see if they'll incorporate the worm. I don't think they will. Maybe for like special occasions if they do win another World Series and like it's a walk-off homer, like Freddie just like worms into like home plate, that would be kind of iconic. But I don't think the Dodgers are going to let him do that during the regular season.
My brother's like, it's getting so out of control that they're going to have a whole 8 count dance at a certain point with all these different moves they do. But I love it. I can't handle how much I love seeing them have fun. And I think, like you say, it's a kid's game and we got to have fun. We got to have the vibes. And I think that's what's been the secret to their success in some way, that they all get along and celebrate and just have a really great time, and you can see that. So we'll see what they do this year. It's going to be fun to get to watch it. But yeah, kind of switching to free agency news. Again, there's nothing really huge, just rumors off on top of rumors. I feel like it's been a million years since we signed Edwin Diaz, even though it was just last month. But yeah, some of the big names that came up, I'm sure you've heard, they've been tied to pitcher Freddie Peralta, Bichette gaining some steam, so possibly the Jays are looking at leaning more towards Tucker, which could signal that Bichette might be on the move. We'll see. And then they haven't quite moved off the rumors of Bellinger. He's still, even though likely to stay in New York, there's still some smoke around that. So, of those news and rumors you've heard, do you think that any one of those is like, this might actually be the one where it's going towards the Dodgers' favor?
See, I think it's trending towards, at least on my end, on my opinion, I think it's trending towards Bo Bichette.
Mm.
Just from like the likelihood they signed Okazma, is that how you say his name? I'm gonna butcher that. They signed him
I
to
read it.
that deal. They have Clement, and then they have Andres Jimenez. And yeah, I understand that Bichette still kind of fits there because he can play second base. But if they're pursuing Kyle Tucker like the way a lot of people are saying there is, are you really going to pay all those guys all that money? I don't really see it happening. Maybe they do end up doing it. Maybe they sign just everyone. But I think their need is probably going to be outfield depth, and they're probably going to go very hard for Kyle Tucker. The Bellinger stuff was kind of fun at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the offseason. It's not the fun no more because I think he's kind of gonna stay there in New York with the Yankees. And that kind of leaves Bo Bichette kind of like in a little island. Like, where does he
Mhm.
go? I know people are saying like Philadelphia because Mattingly's there. I don't really see that. And then us, we have that. spot in second base kind of there, but it kind of relies on the availability of Tommy Edman. If he's fully healthy and he can go back to the outfield if that ankle's not barking, stuff like that. So I don't know. I think Bo Bichette is kind of the most realistic option for us. But I also don't think for Andrew Friedman's going to do something ridiculous out of his comfort zone and kind of just overpay for him if they're the only ones in the market. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the stars are kind of aligning for him to be a Dodger, but I'm not 100% certain that they're going to do something out of their comfort zone. I don't think they're going to give him the money that he necessarily wants. I think it's going to be a short term, long term money kind of deal, like a 4 year something, or maybe they even give him a fifth year. But it's kind of like a team option, stuff like that. So we'll see where we're at. At least it's kind of exciting because like the Dodgers are kind of involved in everyone, but I don't feel like they're in truly involved in everyone. I feel like they're kind of just like, we're interested, but for like the right price. We're not going to overpay for your services. We understand you're a very good all-star caliber player, potentially could be better, stuff like that under us, but we're kind of comfortable with this number and we're not going to exceed that number, whatever that imaginary number is.
That's what I think Andrew Friedman thinks about before we hear all those rumors again about, oh, Dodger just signed everyone. No, they sign people, but they make smart moves that make sense for the organization, both in the short and long term. And I think that that also plays into what we saw with the Japanese market recently, because when you saw the names, and I'm going to get this right too, because I've been, I wasn't sure I was there, but he's Kazuma Okamoto. Okamoto? Okamoto.
Okamoto. Okay, there we go.
I'll write that down. I got to practice. But yeah, he's a third and first baseman now, going to be number 7 for the Jays. And there was Munetaka Murakami, and he went to the White Sox, right? He got the 2 years, 34 million. And then you had the one that I really want to get your thoughts on, Tatsuya Imai. We brought him up before, ended up going to the Astros. Remember, he made those colorful comments about, wanting to take down the Dodgers. We talked about it on the show. He ended up getting at the high end of with all the deals and all the incentives, he could get up to 63 million with the Astros. And Boris, I don't know if you speak fluent Boris, but he had some interesting comments of this week when he was talking about Imai, saying that he said, quote, he's done everything Yamamoto's done in the NPB. My take, yeah, he's a talented pitcher, no doubt, but he's no Yamamoto. So break down the Japanese market. Obviously, the Dodgers didn't take any of those people, despite what everyone always assumes we do here. But what were your thoughts on the Japanese players that are now going to be spread out across the league?
See, I got a few thoughts on the Japanese market. First of all, for a while there, I thought none of these guys were going to get signed by any MLB teams just because it took to like the very last couple days before they decided. It was kind of weird because you didn't really hear news about anyone essentially, and that's why the Morikawa went to the White Sox kind of got me off guard. I think he signed a day or two before his like posting date was reached. So it's kind of
Mhm.
weird, like the whole offseason, just like trying to figure out, well, like where are they gonna go? You really don't see any rumors, concrete rumors at least. You would see rumors, but nothing really concrete there, just a bunch of dead ends. So it was kind of interesting compared to when Yoshi was posted 2 years ago, and you kind of like, well, he's having dinner with the Mets, and oh, he's gonna meet with the Yankees, oh, he's gonna meet with the Dodgers, and so is interested as well. It's kind of felt like there was more news circling him. It was kind of a weird thing, kind of just but the theme of the offseason basically, it's just been a very quiet, slow. You really don't. You'll hear a rumor, and then immediately, like an hour later, you hear like, "Oh, there's no real credence to that rumor." It's kind of just like someone talking. Basically, that's all it is. So it was kind of weird to get real no credence about this. And for the most part, these guys kind of went to situations where works best for them. Morikawa went to the White Sox where there's absolutely zero expectations for him. He can kind of go there and develop, and if he does become a good player, he can be a good franchise like turning stone for them. Now, again, that's kind of more on ownership and stuff like that to kind of surround them with better players as well too, not just put the weight of the world on his shoulders. Kind of coming over to a new country, a new system in Chicago with the White Sox. It's kind of sad to see White Sox games in the middle of the summer and the stadium is completely empty. It looks like basically like with COVID when the games were just cardboard cutouts and it's just like probably less than 1,000 fans in that stadium. Like the White Sox have this rich heritage. The uniforms are very nice. They have a nice history. They won a World Series in the early 2000s and stuff like that. So it's kind of sad to see franchises like that basically just rotting. And this is kind of a step forward. Like, okay, we trust, we have our faith in this guy to kind of develop and hopefully turn the franchise around. And with Imani, it's kind of fitting that he goes to the Astros, kind of like quote unquote the Dodgers rival, even though we haven't really played them competitively, at least in the last couple of years. It feels like it's kind of been lopsided at this point, and it feels like they're kind of in a turning point as well too. Altuve's getting older, Bregman's not there no more, Kyle Tucker's not there no more, so they're maybe
Mhm.
kind of like in a transition, trying to figure out what life past Altuve looks like. I don't think he's going to play any further than maybe a handful of years, maybe 6 years at the max, but still, it's kind of
Yeah.
a weird transition for them. And his contract as well, it's kind of like one of those things where he committed to 3 years with them, but he can opt out after the year and just go on to a different team and kind of chase the money if he performs well. So
True.
I don't know if that's really the guy you want to build around. Yeah, he has the confidence in all the world, but I don't know if I would compare him to Yoshi, considering like all the stuff that Yoshi accomplished before he came over, and he doesn't meet like half his resume. So I don't know. I think it'll be fun for all these guys to kind of develop and not be labeled as the as soon as they're posted on the international market, like, well, he's a Dodger. Well, that's not necessarily true. The Dodgers do have three of the top guys in Japan, but that's not necessarily how it works because Shohei signed with the Angels first, and then we signed him through free agency all these years later. So I don't know. I think
Mhm.
the stereotype is that, yeah, that these guys get posted and immediately the thought process is like, well, they're going to be Dodgers, and that's also not necessarily true because we didn't really they were if they wanted to be Dodgers, they would pick them, and the Dodgers would pursue them a lot stronger. You didn't hear anything throughout the past couple months that like, yeah, they're very interested in this guy. They're going all in. You heard rumors like, yeah, they're interested, but we don't know to what extent, basically. Maybe they just offered off a tea leaf, like, yeah, we'll be interested to negotiate, but we have other guys that we want to pursue before we even consider pursuing you. So I don't know. It's not a
Yeah.
knock on them. It's just like the things how business works, basically. If you see a candidate that you like for your business, you're going to pursue him stronger compared to other guys. So that's just baseball.
Not everyone's meant to be a Dodger, and that's what's important for people to understand. Is that I think Andrew Friedman's been kind of dispelling a lot of myths lately with the way that he has been doing his signings, and the slowness of the season is a sign of that in some way. But yeah, you can't be mad at the teams for trying. I mean, the Dodgers laid the blueprint out. This is how we've done it. There has been relative success with the Japanese market on our end. It's been amazing, but maybe they want to tap into that a little bit. There's no doubt that these players are talented. And so that is a really good thing for these teams. And they say, imitation is the best form of flattery. So I'm not going to be mad at them. But yeah, Boris is a little bit of he's a strange cat with his comments. But I kind of want to turn our attention to the WBC. It's one of our favorite topics here on the show. And I saw your post on your social media that says there's a little bit of momentum for you possibly going. I need you to tell me more.
Yeah, I finally like broke down the most important part, budget, what it's all going to cost me. And it's relatively not that bad because I think it's going to end up being a solo trip. I think it's just going to be me who flies out there and stays out there for a couple days. So that makes life a lot easier. Now it's kind of like, I think the moment I actually book my flight, the wheels start turning like, okay, now I have to find a hotel. And once I find a hotel, the tickets are just basically I don't want to say cheap because they're pretty a little bit pricey, but some of these matchups are not like noteworthy matchups, so you can actually sneak in a few good games in between
Mhm.
here and there. And I'm gonna try to do both. I'm gonna try to do both USA and Mexico games out in Houston. So the wheels are in motion. It's a lot more affordable than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive, but yeah, the wheels are in motion. I think next week, if I book my flight, I think that kind of solidifies like, okay, this is real. Like now we actually have to start looking for accommodations to stay. But yeah, I'm excited. Like this is actually like, I wish it was much more bigger of a deal. I think a lot of people are kind of like brushing it off still, but I think when we start playing WBC games, people are going to get invested really quick because we still are like a month away before guys start like seriously throwing a baseball and started doing baseball activities. I know a lot of guys are working out, but they're not really working out to the point where like they're in game shape. They're kind of just staying loose at this point. But I think as more guys announce, like, yeah, I'll be on Team USA, I'll be on Team Venezuela, I'll be on Team Mexico, etc. I think the blood will start pumping. Right now, we're kind of still in the winter time. Once February turns around and you see guys talking about like reporting the pitching and catching, I think that's when the wheels will start turning. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And I was writing down some of the dates that we're going to be seeing some actual MLB action just to kind of get a little excited. We'll be seeing spring training games as soon as February 20th. So that's great. WBC, you're talking about March 5th. When is your scheduled trip at this point?
It would be ideally, I would land that Friday. Wait, hold up. I have it here. On my notes. This is how prepared I am. I have my own notes as well too. Actually, March 6th. I would be there March 6th through the
Oh,
10th.
early.
And
Okay.
I have a few games kind of outlined. I have one, two, three, four games actually. So it'd be the
Nice.
Friday, the 6th would be USA versus Brazil. And if I remember correctly, God forbid any injury happens, that's Paul Skeens bump day. So I get to see Paul Skeens kind of in action, first time in person. I don't think I've ever it's lined up for me to watch him in person. And then
Great.
Saturday would be Great Britain versus the US. Sunday would be Brazil versus Mexico, and then Monday would be the moneymaker. It'd be Mexico versus Team USA. So that's kind of the dates I have outlined in my mind. Like, yeah, I would be this 4 game stretch here would be my like my March baseball basically, and I'd be happy to be watching that. So I hope everything goes to plan. I hope Paul Skeens gets the ball game one of the WBC because I think he's going to set the tone. He's going to go out there and dominate basically.
That sounds like bliss. I am gonna wish you all the vibes while you're watching that, and that gives me a little bit of time to save up some money to sell you, so you can go shopping for me on one of those days. Hopefully, I'm gonna need
Yeah.
some WBC.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully it lines up. Yeah.
That's great. No, that's I'm so excited. But then when you said Great Britain, I was remembering all the uniforms from the WBC last round, and I think they had those really odd, plain. Looks like they had just printed them off. Did you? Because you're a graphics, so you know your stuff. That weren't those a little bit
Yeah.
under. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
just like zero creativity. These
Right?
WBC, since it only happens, if I remember correctly, every 2 to 3 years, I feel like you have to go all out in that cycle. You kind of have to like represent these countries, what they
Yes.
represent and stuff like that. I know Team Japan goes all out. I saw like rumored leaks of what their uniform looks, and they look awesome. I can't wait to see what the US I think is going to go all white as they should, all white unis, and then their red and white blue trim all around the uniform as well too. The away uniform is kind of where you can experiment. I feel
Yeah.
like the home uniforms for every team, not just in the WBC, but like in MLB as well, your home unis have to be all white. That's how kind of how like, I associate the home team, all white, like the Dodger, all white and the blue trim they got. That's awesome. I think of the Red Sox as well too, all white and the red lettering as well too. I feel like your home uniforms have to be your traditional, yeah, all whites. And then your away jerseys and your secondary jerseys, that's when you can have fun. You can like experiment with stuff like that. Like, oh, this year we'll do this kind of color scheme and stuff like that. The first one that comes to mind is actually the Mariners. The Mariners have that teal jersey that I think they're going to leak out as their new
Mhm.
away or third uniform. And that kind of like when I think the Florida Marlins, I think of that. I think that teal. I think that this is the uniform that comes to mind. So I don't know. I hope these teams kind of experiment. I hope Fanatics doesn't get lazy and do the whole Great
Mm.
Britain because it's actually kind of disappointing. You see a team representing their country and it's kind of looks like a jersey that you can get like off Big Five right now for like $10 basically. Like there's no creativity at all. Yeah, the hats are unique as well too, but like threw some little flavor into the jersey and stuff like that. Make sure these guys are like proud to represent where they're from.
It's so true. I mean, it's kind of like another form of the Olympics. It's a big deal. You want to really spend your time kind of making that, making your statement for your country. And it's such a heavy source of pride for everyone who's watching. So definitely excited to see how they all come out and how they all look. I think it's going to be a fantastic time. But yeah, kind of another big event that happened in the past year that, according to ESPN's Paul Hembeges, I'm not probably saying that all wrong, but he said that the game seven, I don't know if you saw this, game seven of the World Series last year was considered by him the greatest game, quote, greatest game ever. And he said the 51 million people who watch will, quote, never forget it. And that we have never seen a championship hang in the balance so many times in a single night. And I don't think we'll be getting another World Series. I hope we do, but that's kind of a heavy, high bar to follow. Do you agree that that is probably the greatest game ever, according to Paul Hempkins? I'm saying it wrong.
Recent buy-in says yes. I can't think of any other game that meets that kind of expectations, wow factor, star power, all the adjectives you can think of, etc. It used to be for me, and I don't watch this game anymore just because of the way it ended, was game five in 2017 against the Astros, where it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But even that game has the qualifier that it was a game five. The World Series wasn't on the line. The Dodgers still ended up playing a game six and a seven later on in that series. So this one was kind of like for all the marbles and we described it. The best way to describe it was a roller coaster. You come out the gate, you get punched immediately by Bo Bichette, hashtag future Dodger, in the mouth. You're down 3-0 on the road. The the stadium is exploding. The weight of the world is basically just on your footstep. Basically, how do you respond? You slowly chip away, slowly chip away. They get that big insurance run late in the game, and you think, damn, that might be it. That might be the run that kind of secures them the world championship. And again, you slowly chip away, slowly chip away. Muncy has that huge homer, chases you savage out the game. And then you're down to your last two batters, essentially. Miguel Rojas is down to his last strike. If not, he's going to strike out. And you got Shohei on deck, and he pulls one into the left field bullpen for no doubter. But that still doesn't win you the game. You still have to go to extra innings and try to find a way to win the game. And you go into extra innings, you have Will Smith, your guy who puts you over the top, but the guy that he's catching is pitching on 1 day's rest. He threw 100 bullets for you the day before, and now he's back pitching for two-thirds innings, whatever innings that mark was. And he's
Yeah.
out there basically on the bump. Basically, you're gonna die with him essentially because you don't trust anyone in your bullpen to go and get you two more outs. I know Kershaw says that he was gonna be the guy up out of that bullpen, but I don't know if I was gonna be comfortable with him coming into that game. In all seriousness, just because of the moment and stuff like that. I think I would have been more comfortable if we lost it all with Yoshi on on the bump because he was our best guy throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Yeah, Blake Snell had some awesome playoff games, but in that World Series, no one on the mound could touch Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So for me, it's easily the best game I've ever seen, but it wouldn't surprise me if like 5 years from now there's another greatest game you ever see. But I don't know. That one kind of had like everything that could have imaginably possible happened, and I'm like excluding big plays on both sides as well too. I completely ignored Andy Paez kind of saving the game as a defensive sub, who's been on the bench for like more than 2 hours and immediately has to make that dead sprint to kind of save the Dodgers season. And there's plays on the other side as well too that just Vladdy Guerrero. I felt like every time he came up to bat was gonna hit one 450 feet. So yeah, I think if you tell both teams, fans on both sides, like 10 years from now, like what are your memories from this game? They'll they'll come to the conclusion, yeah, it was a roller coaster. It's hard to describe the emotions everyone felt throughout the however long this game was, but you felt it all basically.
You felt it all. You really summarized that perfectly, and that leads us to kind of where I was going to go next with this. The Hall of Fame currently has something called Autumn Glory, dedicated to some artifacts that are now in on display from that entire series. You've got things like Miguel Rojas' Game 7 bat, Shohei's Game 5 jersey, those famous spikes that Will Smith wore in Game 7. Mookie Betts' glove and Freddie Freeman's bat from Game 3. That was the 18-inning game. Our hero, Will Klein's glove, Dave Roberts' jersey. Now, you mentioned a lot of those as you were speaking right now, and so those are on display. But is there anything from that Game 7 or throughout the series you think would be just a really cool add on that's not what I mentioned right there? If they could add one thing that's not on that list from the series, what would you put?
Yeah, actually, it'd be two things from Game 6 specifically, because Game 6 was the reason we even got to a Game 7. I would probably include Justin Dean's glove because if it wasn't for him throwing his hands up in the air, who knows what happens? Kind of like an instinctual moment. And I would also take Kike's glove as well too, because he made that out, and it forced that double play to Miguel Rojas. So that's kind of like the two things that kind of stick out to me. Things from Game 6 specifically. Those two moments kind of like solidified our chance for us to even play in a Game 7. So those two items, whether it's gloves or it's spikes, whether it's just a picture of Justin Dean throwing his hands up in the air, that's also good for me as well too, or his jersey. I don't know. Game 6 specifically, those would be the two items. Like, yeah, I need those in the Hall of Fame, basically, because you don't get to a Game 7 without whatever happened in Game 6, basically.
That's so true. I would even like the ball that Andy Putt has caught. I don't know if he threw it back in the stands. I wasn't sure what he did with the ball where he took down Kike, but that's a cool ball because that is going to go down as a lasting image from Game 7. But yeah, Justin Dean. Let's talk about him for just a quick second. He was DFA'd by the Giants today. It's kind of sad, right? He's one of our heroes.
Yeah, kind of sad that he didn't get a chance to show himself in spring training for the Giants, but I also think that he'll have an opportunity with the what other team picks him up. So kind of sad that he didn't even get a chance to prove himself, but hopefully he finds a team immediately and he has somewhere to go at the start of spring training to kind of show that he belongs in the big leagues.
Yeah. No, I know how the business works. Obviously, it's sad because we have all these great images and these great players, but they can't all stay Dodgers forever. It's just kind of the way that things move around. But you'll always be a hero to us, Justin D, no matter where you are. But yeah, so on deck for us is the prior to spring training is the promotion calendar, which we're talking about. Dodger Fest, and of course, pitchers and catchers, which would be what, early February, right? So we're just about a
Early
month out.
February,
Is
yeah.
that right? So in a month's time, we'll actually be getting a lot more of the fun. We're about to have Dodger games again, and even the spring training games, and we'll see how that all shakes out for this season. But it's getting closer. So as we round out the day or the show, do you have any final comments?
Final thoughts. Yeah, it's been a slow off season. It's been good though. I've enjoyed my time off from watching the Dodgers, but I kind of want the Dodgers to start playing actual games so I can start talking about that. And I hope some of these free agent guys kind of decide within the next week or two because it's kind of boring logging on and it's just the same
Yeah.
like tweet just reworded differently. Basically, that's what it feels like. Some of these articles as well too. It's kind of feels like we're just running in circles waiting for these guys to decide. So. Hopefully they decide within the next week or two, and hopefully Boba Fett's a Dodger so we can talk about it.
I can't wait to talk about it. I mean, worst case scenario, we're going to have to talk, football for another week, but I'm really hoping that something goes down this week or next at the latest because I'm real excited to kind of see how our roster will shake out. But yeah, definitely check us throughout the week. If there's some breaking news, we'll make sure to get back on before a week's time. And be sure, I think this Thursday we've got Talking Blue with Cody and Vince. Definitely check them out on Thursday nights. So if there's anything that happens, they'll be available to talk as well. But yeah, definitely check out DodgersBeat.com. We've got all the latest news, got all the latest rumors broken down by Cody. He's our co-host, also doing Cody and Vince on Thursday, but he'll be in and out of the show. So definitely want to give a shout out to him and his articles, and definitely check out our handles. You can find me, Drea, on Instagram and X at Ravine Queen 1958. You can find Anthony on Instagram and X at Anthony Acosta _. And again, definitely don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we really do appreciate all the support. So until the next big thing happens, let's go Dodgers.